Gary Scelzi telling me earlier today that he won out here twice at the old Las Vegas Speedway Park facility when he ran Top Alcohol Dragster and Top Alcohol Funny Car back in the early to mid 1990s.
You know, Gary's going to have to be careful. They have to have made some adjustments on the car from the first round of competition. Although they ran very, very fast at 467, when the car left the starting line in the first round, it actually had some haze, some visible smoke off the tires, and then it kind of dried up. They've switched lanes for the second round of competition, but I think if his crew chief, Alan Johnson, doesn't make some adjustments, they may be getting bit by that tire smoke.
The Pomona winner, Gary Scelzi, against the Gainesville winner, Doug Coletta. Sponsored locally by the MGM Grand. Let's watch. Again, hazing on both sides of the course, and there goes the blower belt and all sorts of parts from Doug Coletta's machine. The win goes to Scelzi with a 480 at 283 miles an hour.
It looks to me as though they absolutely went back in and made the car a little soft. They had an 8.87 60-foot time. The car looked much more controllable leaving the start line. It didn't have the haze off the tires. Again, they smoked the tires a little bit further down the track, but Alan Johnson, the crew chief, he's a bright guy. That's why they've won a Winston championship in the past. They can go back in and make those adjustments to make sure the car sticks. A pretty good side-by-side drag race.
Both drivers nursing it to the finish. Lane choice goes to Scelzi over Kenny Bernstein. On the other side of the ladder, you've got lane choice for Amato over Corey McLenithan. When we come back, the funny cars are next. TNN Sports is with you on opening day of the Strip at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It is a magnificent day here in the area just outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. Eli Gold, Frank Hawley, Steve Evans. Don't forget, folks, you can find out who has the dead man's gun this week. It's set in the Old West and has big stars, and it's all a part of TNN's Action Wednesdays. Check it out every Wednesday, 8 Eastern and Pacific, right here on TNN. Steve Evans at the far end. Let's button things up on Top Fuel.
Gary, I'm not sure Christy Yamaguchi could skate down this racetrack right now. It is treacherous.
Oh, I'm telling you what, Team Winston smoked the hoops pretty good on that one, but I did not care. When I saw Tony red light, I had to stay after it. And, you know, we got by it, and I'll tell you what, it's a good feeling to know that other car went out, let me tell you.
Gary, another driver not happy to see Schumacher back in, but let's stress that no one's saying Gibson was cheating at 90.4%. They're just saying, guys, you've got to monitor your fuel more carefully. We're serious about this rule.
That's true. I mean, to cheat, I mean, you're going 94%, 95%. This is just a calculation error.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys aren't out here to try and cheat. They do want to get as close to that 90% as possible, though.
Jim Epler on board with him against Al Hoffman. Going for Jim Dunn. The Moon Eyes team up in smoke, and Jim Epler's taking it on to the semifinal round. That's going to be a 5:02 for the man out of Phoenix, Arizona. 2:97 for Jim Epler.
I'll tell you, one of the things that's so impressive about a 5:02 out of the funny car is they don't have as much rear weight as the Top Fuel dragsters, and the Fuel dragsters are spinning the tires. I thought it'd be even worse for the funny cars. You can see Jim Epler in there, his left hand in there, fighting on the steering wheel to keep the car in the center of the track. But an absolute fabulous run for the funny cars because of the fact that they don't have those huge rear wings and as much weight on the rear wheels. I would have expected even more tire smoke. So the Epler crew, Dale Armstrong and those guys, they're looking good right now.
Epler losing in round one at Gainesville. 9th in points. Puts himself in a position to pick up some valuable Winston points here today. As this fan crowd looks on, and I'll tell you, this is a magnificent turnout here, and we hope you can make your way to an upcoming NHRA event, but if not, just keep it right here on TNN Sports. We will be with you from just outside of Houston, Texas next weekend, the O'Reilly Nationals. Then from Richmond, Virginia, Atlanta, Georgia. We'll be with you in the month of May at Dallas, and of course later in the season, up with the Colonel at Brainerd, then the U.S. Nationals and Heartland Park in Topeka. All of that coming up here on TNN Sports. This will be an intriguing matchup. Tony Pedregon against a man who in his second event has become the #1 qualifier, Todd Payton out of Brantford, Ontario, Canada.
A fellow Canadian. I was born and raised just a little ways away from Todd Payton, and have watched him in his entire career, and he spent a lot of time. He's a newcomer to Nitro, but not a newcomer to drag racing. He spent a lot of time in the alcohol funny car category and has won a lot of big races, so he's a pretty savvy driver for a young guy.
Won a couple of IHRA championships, 5-time Canadian Drag Racer of the Year, and now to a many-time American Drag Racing Broadcaster of the Year. So Steve.
Hey, tremendous. A 5-0 from the Big Red Machine. Its debut weekend. That was impressive.
That is impressive. How about that for the WWF fans? This Big Red Machine, ever since we put this new paint job on, has been just tremendous. And Tolliver, unfortunately, went out first round, so he's back there really hyping this deal up. And, hey, the main thing is WWF is in the semifinals, and Stewart and Mans are just doing a tremendous job qualifying. The whole deal's just been on a string.
Okay, Jim Epler.
He is all excited talking about Terry Manger, John Stewart, the guys who handle the crew chiefing. And there is the youngest of the Pedregon brothers, Tony Pedregon, in the Syntec machine, driving for John Force. Tony coming in as the #8 qualifier against the #1 qualifier, Todd Payton. A lot of skating again, and give the win to Tony Pedregon at a 5:01 and an impressive 301 miles an hour. He really beat him significantly at the start. The reaction time of 45, a 4:58 to a 53 for Payton.
Well, one of the things that Pedregon's run looks so good is he actually deep staged, and that's where you pull a little deeper into the staging lights. The pre-stage light went out. Now that's going to make his reaction time kind of artificially look better, but what's so impressive is it makes the reaction time look better. The ET looks slower, so that 5:01 is probably a high 490, which is a fabulous run.
So an impressive run for Tony Pedregon. He will run off against either Tim Wilkerson or John Force. You'll be seeing that. Plus, upcoming in moments, Dean Scusa and Ron Capps back to the strip after this. Burnouts just wrapping up. John Force and Tim Wilkerson as we welcome you back to the SummitRacing.com Nationals. We are here at a simply magnificent racing facility. Over the years, you've seen events here at Las Vegas, from the big track next door, or the Pennzoil World of Outlaws, and the dirt track just behind that grandstand. And this is opening day here for the NHRA Winston drag racing teams. Far end, Tony Pedregon. He's advancing.
Yeah. And he got a big hug from his crew chief, John Medlin. What's your secret, young man, in 5:01?
Well, the secret's Medlin and this attack team over here. Thank Syntec, and really we're racing a tough racetrack out here. I rolled in a little deep and it ran 01. It'll probably, we might need it if we have to race Superman, but that's not a bad number for deep staging.
And it feels like it may be cooling off a little bit. That could be good news.
And Superman, of course, the Castrol GTX car in the far lane there. John Force, there you see a close-up this weekend wearing the Superman insignia. There you see, well, that looks like John Force. At least he'll say it does.
Force has a beard now, and I've never seen Superman with a beard. I have no idea what's going on.
And there's Tim Wilkerson, who won in Chicago last year. He's got a handful here against the #2 man in points, John Force, the winner earlier this season at Firebird. He's got a chance. Wilkerson to pull the upset. Give it to Wilkerson as John Force at about the 330-foot mark lost traction of 5:05 at 279 miles an hour. The Kenworth colors advancing to the semis.
Well, we're starting to see a pattern here, I think, Eli, and that's going to be that a lot of the cars are going to favor the right side of the racetrack. Force got off the start line pretty good, but ran into a little bit of trouble. Down the track, it started to shake the tires. It would spin. You see the body kind of drop down and pick back up. That's as he gets off and on the accelerator pedal. Wilkerson, on the other hand, was doing a fine job. As John Force is over there having to get off and on the throttle, he's just got that pedal to the metal. He's keeping the car in the center of the track. Near the end of the track, you can see some orange flame out. It means that it's damaged the engine. There's some problems there. A little bit of oil smoke out the back. That's not going to be a problem for him to fix the next round of competition, but it certainly slowed the car down at the other end of the track.